Thank you all very, very much for coming tonight. And I know your time is very valuable to you all. So I wanted to go through this as quickly, but as correctly as possible. So we're going to let Will go ahead and just say just a couple words and introduce himself, and then we'll take a endorsement vote and move on to, I can't remember or you'll all be here. We'll be fine. Go ahead, Mr. Rollins, take it away.
Well, thank you, Mel, and thanks for letting me join you. I'm so sorry that I'm running a little bit late. I'm working hard on the campaign trail, but we've had a lot of great updates recently. So I'll just share a couple of them right off the bat. So since January to August, Democrats have picked up about 2,000 registered voters in California 41. Republicans have lost about 1,000. So we are now in a Biden plus district, which is incredible. First time in Calvert's career he's faced a Democratic electorate. Second big couple pieces of news we've had the last few weeks. New York Times featured our race. Morning Joe on MSNBC featured our race last week. That was incredible. It's starting to get some real amazing national attention. The Morning Joe piece, for those of you who didn't see it, there was an organization that did a poll called Apple Cart, and they talked a lot about how Democrats are investing in some races that are not winnable. For example, the Marjorie Taylor Greene race. Obviously, none of us are Marjorie Taylor Greene fans. We want to see her gone, but she's got a huge registration advantage. And so Morning Joe and this pollster who spoke on that show last week said that if we invest in California 41, they have a poll showing me beating Calvert already by 2 points if we raise the resources to educate voters about this race. That was amazing for us. We had another great post on social media from Eva Longoria about this congressional race that went viral. That was amazing. That's been really taking off online. And then the other piece that I wanted to share with everybody is in every special election in the House since Dobbs was decided, Democrats have been beating the Biden 2020 number by an average of 5 points. And in a 50-50 district like mine, that puts us in a great position to win. And so I just want to say thank you to everybody on the call for, helping me from the beginning, for being big advocates, and for doing the hard work to turn this district blue, because we will absolutely flip it in 49 days. So thank you for letting me jump on and share a couple of those campaign updates. We could use your help. As I've said before, turnout is going to be huge. So if we can get folks to go on our website and use the volunteer link, that's willrollinsforcongress.com. We're going to target a ton of those Democrats in the northwestern side of the congressional district, where about 60% of the electorate is. And we know that if those Democrats who do not traditionally vote in midterms, we call them the 3 of 6 Democrats, if they vote, we will flip the seat. And we need your help with phone banks and postcarding and canvassing. And we just we're expanding our field staff. I know there's been some growing pains there. Sorry, somebody in a parking lot is really loud. So that's the appropriate moment for me to end my thank yous. But go to the website and help us volunteer. Thank you, Mel.
All right.
Brian.
Go ahead, Brian.
All right. Thank you again. Brian Nash, 32nd District State Senate candidate. It's really nice to be with you guys. It's actually getting really, really cool because I'm starting to know almost everyone in these meetings. And given where we were just 6 months ago, it's just kind of crazy to see how things have changed. So, those of you guys that know me, know what I'm about. My number one issue is education. I want to make sure that universal pre-K is a thing here in California. I want to make sure that all of our students are able to get the top-notch education that they deserve from the 5th or 6th largest economy in the world. Training and retraining programs for older adults that may want to change careers or may be out of a career due to technology or other changes. Huge thing. Given my background, growing up in the Flint area, definitely want to make sure I'm hitting on briefly some of the issues that have happened over the past week with 412 and the issues in Temecula. For those of you that don't know, I live in Murrieta, so I'm very close to that area. And city council member there is causing a whole lot of havoc, trying to make Temecula a sanctuary city for abortion, so that no abortions can happen in Temecula. So there's a whole big to-do going on next week with that. Obviously, I stand strong. It's between a woman and their doctor. And I will make sure my voice is heard there to stand up for anyone that does not have time or is not able to do so themselves. Beyond that, you guys know me. I'm willing to stand up and fight for anybody. Willing to say what needs to be said, even if it makes me unliked by a few people. I'm totally okay with that. And I really look forward to the next 6 weeks or so while we go ahead and get this done. So thanks again for all the support. And I hope we can get this endorsement done tonight.
Thank you, Brian. Okay.
Madam President, over to you.
Yes, we're going to go back to, let me just get back to the gallery mode.
Yes.
He doesn't want to go back. Here we go. Gallery mode. Here we go. Okay, everyone. That was Brian Nash. And Brian, it's good to see you again.
I refer to Ms. Fausia Rizvi, my long friend here. So proud of you. Fausia is running in a very unusual district in that I tried to explain that a third of Riverside falls under the jurisdiction, and that will be the new 63. And her working alongside Sabrina Cervantes and keeping Riverside, UCR, our water coming through, the riverbeds, the projects that are going on, things that have been moving Riverside ahead in the last 10 years. If we don't keep these seats blue, I'm not sure if we can continue that kind of progress. And I really hope we can get her in a good spot to make sure that happens. You ready to go, honey? Go.
Yes. Thank you. Good evening, Democrats. First of all, thank you all for your support. You guys held a meet and greet for me a few weeks back. So it was a great event. Thank you so much for your support. Those of you who know me, who've seen my work, but some of you I haven't had a chance to meet. So my name is Fausia Rizvi. I'm a mother and engineer, a small business owner, and elected to Western Municipal Water District. I serve on 6 different committees there, looking over a budget of $250 million. I also sit on the Riverside Community College Oversight, Citizens Oversight Bond Committee, which is a $350 million bond that oversees what's the, are the facilities that bond was created for. All the functions are going well, the construction is well, transparency and accountability. Also, during the pandemic, I started a nonprofit food bank. We held 110 food drives. We gave out 35 million pounds of food. And we are looking forward to bringing more resources to our district. And that is why I am running for the brand new district 8063, which covers the cities of Menifee, Canyon Lake, Lake Elsinore, parts of Corona, Norco, parts of Eastville, and as Melba mentioned, half of Riverside, which covers Orange Crest, Woodcrest, Canyon Crest, Sycamore Canyon, parts up to UCR. So having UCR, Norco College, and Monsanto College in my district makes it very unique. We have 3 colleges. We have to really bring resources for our students. Education is very important to me, and as an engineer, as a STEM person, working on water, that is something, as some of you have heard me talking nonstop about water, which is going to be, as I talk about it, without that, there is no future for us here in California. So we really got to be paying a lot of attention to what's going on and policies and how we bring, as your representative, I want to bring that infrastructure funding to the district directly. We need really badly, money for storage and conveyance. We just talked about, we had a storm last weekend. At the board meeting today, we were looking at the numbers of how much water we captured. Unfortunately, we were not able to capture it. It got discharged, but it was so, it was not even a good quality for being discharged into the ground. So it was almost like a waste of water. So we really need those investment in our communities, as we are, there's a big housing shortage and a big housing issues, but we cannot solve that problem without talking about water and those resources. And that is why I'm running. I really want to, as a small business owner, we saw so many small business got hurt in the pandemic. So I want to focus on uplifting businesses impacted by the pandemic. I want to invest in the local infrastructure. Something that I've really worked with is mental health services. And I think that is something we would really need. I really see that the world and all of us has not even seen the real impact of the pandemic yet. We're still out of that stage. We're kind of figuring it out if we are in the pandemic or not. People are still affected by the pandemic, yet most of us are, playing the fact that we're out of it. So I really think mentally we have, we have not seen that effect. So I really want to be proactive for bringing those resources and those funding for mental health services for our teachers, for our students, for our veterans, right? There's 22 veterans are killed a day by suicide. So that's something that we want to be having, March Air Force Base in our area, in our district. We really want to be focused on working on those resources. So that is why I'm running. Wanted to share my opponent. I can talk to you about all the issues happening in my district, but my opponent doesn't care because he doesn't even live here. He lives in Orange County. He did not even bother to vote for himself. So I really don't have to tell you guys what kind of a representative he's going to be. Unfortunately, he's run, on a coattail of Ken Calvert, who's already the most corrupted congressperson. So I really don't need to tell you guys what kind of opponent I have. I need all the help I can get. We have 49 days to go. We can make this happen. And I want to work for you. I have been working for you guys. I want to work for you. And I will do everything possible to get to the finish line. Let's make it happen. Let's do this together. So thank you.
Oh, thank you, Fauzia. I just want to say we had a wonderful meet and greet I think it was last week, or was it the week before? I can't remember anymore.
Yeah.
For Fauzia. It was really wonderful. And it was great to see, her and Sabrina Cervantes, chatting together, possibly, foreshadowing how they could be working together in the future. And if you want, I was going to say, anybody that is in the state offices who understands water, Fauzia is an engineer. And if you want to know about water, talk to Fauzia. She can talk forever about water. And I love to hear her talk about water. And, she's just fantastic. She's very knowledgeable and really cares about this district.
Lucky also, we have, speaking of water, Western Municipal Water District representative here who is running kind of a tough race with some heavy hitter competition, and she's already shown us that she is doing the job she needs to be doing and needs to continue. Gracie, you want to just pop in for a couple minutes and say
hello, and thank you so much, everyone, for having me. I'm so proud to at least announce that I am the RCDP endorsed candidate, and that was after long interview where I explained everything I do, and I know I've had a chance to talk to you all, but I want you to know that I'm doing the work. I'm putting everything out that I can for my campaign. We're walking every weekend. We are walking every day, me and my family. And, I'm proud of the work I've done. I think one thing that makes me stand out from the other candidates is that I'm unapologetically a Democrat. I am here to serve, yes, in water, but there are progressive policies even in water that we need to take a look at. And so I humbly ask for your endorsement. As I said, I'll be unapologetic about it. Everyone knows my views, and I can still gain their respect without having to shy away from them. So thank you again for your time. I commit to you when I win that I will continue to be your voice and your champion.
Thank you very much, Gracie. Thanks for jumping when you could. Hi, Carrie. Are you down there? There you are, love. You'll have to explain to me the college district. Explain to me the where that is, because there's so many, the education overlapping college district, and it's very confusing. But I'm glad we have a name of a friend.
Thank you.
That's on that candidate list now. Go ahead and tell us, Carrie.
Yes, hi everyone, and thank you for considering me for your endorsement. I am Carrie Fenn, and I'm running for the Riverside Community College District Trustee Area 5. And how does that impact you? Well, yes, it includes the city of Moreno Valley, but it also includes quite a few unincorporated areas surrounding the city of Moreno Valley, which touch into Greater Riverside. So I'm very happy that you invited me tonight to speak. Just to let you know my background, I am the Riverside County Democratic Party endorsed candidate for this race, as well as Central Labor, and my own congressman, as you know, Mark Decano is my congressman, as he is many of yours as well. He has endorsed my race and endorsed me. To tell you a little bit about who I am, I spent 20 years on active duty in the United States Air Force, where my very first college degree was from a community college. So it took me 10 years to get that degree. I was a single parent at the time. I was deployed overseas multiple times. So I earned my community college degree, and I know that the students in the 3 colleges in the district, which is Moreno Valley College, Riverside City College, and Norco College, every one of those students that are degree-seeking students are earning their degrees. But we also serve a population of those that are seeking certificates. And these are some of the issues that I'm going to be working on. I want to make sure that any student that attends any college in Riverside Community College District is really, we're trying to drive the cost down to net zero, and not just the tuition costs, which the state of California has worked on quite significantly, but the cost of e-textbooks, the cost of traveling between the colleges, because there are 3 colleges and sometimes you have to take a course at one location or another, and the cost of exit exam fees, especially for the certificate students. In order to get a qualification certificate, they have to pay hundreds of dollars to finish out their certificate program. So I'm really very interested in making sure we drive down those costs. I've met with 2 student groups, and one of the issues they brought to my attention was that none of our colleges have residential housing for our students. Right. We changed our name a couple of years ago to college. And when you go to college, you have some, expectations of some of the services that are going to be offered. And one of the students I met with, she was the Riverside Community College District Student of the Year and received a scholarship. And instead of using that money on tuition or e-textbooks or anything else, she used that money to pay her rent. And that tells me that we need to really seriously consider building residential housing for our students. And I'm very sensitive to this issue because right now I'm a professor. I'm a professor at the University of Redlands, where I teach in information technology, geographic information systems, and data analytics. And I have the very transfer students, the degree-seeking students, coming to my classroom several nights a week. It's one of the reasons that I can't attend the DGR meetings as often as I would like, because I teach at night. And my terms change every couple of months. I change a different night that I'm teaching. So I see these students and I understand some of the issues they're undertaking. And so I am running as a professor for RCCD TA5, and I would greatly appreciate your endorsement tonight. Thank you.
Oh, thank you, Carrie.
Thank you for educating us all. I feel, thank you again.
Yes.
That helped very much so, yes.
One more comment, if you wouldn't mind. I'm being hosted by Council Member Dave Marquez in the city of Moreno Valley on October 5th. He's hosting a barbecue for me and a fundraiser, and I'll put some information in the chat.
Yeah, throw that in there. Excellent.
On how to donate as well as how to attend.
Yeah. So I don't know, Carrie, but I was really surprised, when I moved out here from the East Coast to find out that the community college system was really part of the the high school system, so to speak, versus being tacked on to the university systems. And I think that really makes a difference. I know how it's viewed and all of that, I think is it's impacted by that, I think.
Well, and we're looking, obviously the Riverside Community College District is looking for those transfer students from high school. We're looking to gain their attendance, and that has been a bit of a problem, obviously, since the pandemic. Enrollment is down at the community college district, as well as proficiency rates. So we've got some work to do, but I just want to bring up the fact that the Riverside Community College District has so many programs, some of them in the medical field, such as at Riverside City College, the LVN, it's a nursing program. At Moreno Valley College, we have all of the first responder programs, as far as emergency services are concerned, and others, firefighting, both certificate and degree granting programs. So, and at Norco College, there are other logistical training programs. So this is a very healthy, a very complex system, but it's one that students really do want to attend from the high schools in the entire region. And the problem is that they're facing some of the same issues that every 18-year-old that graduates from high school, where are they going to live? How are they going to get there and buy a car? How can they afford the cost of gas? And then on top of that, how can they afford to go to college? Right. So we are an affordable option. I must say, I hate to say it, but we are an affordable option even to my own college. Come and get your first division credits and then transfer to a university. Absolutely. So
I just want you to know, Carrie, my babysitter, when I first moved to California, I was terrified to go to college, and she went to RCC, and I used to have to help her with her comments. Oh yeah, you can do it. Well, she ended up going to Harvard. So
see,
I'm telling you,
it's a good side place.
That was one of the best places for her to go to get her confidence up, to learn how to, work and function at the college level. I love community colleges. My first degree is from a community college.
Mine too.
As is mine. And, the other group that I've met with is the Riverside Community College Teachers Association, which is also endorsing me. There are over 600 members. And I've met with several of the teachers in that organization, and they are first class instructors and first class professors. So this is a well-known, very credible, very capable college district that I would like to definitely represent.
Well, we would like to have you there. So
thank you.
We would like to have you there, Carrie.
So leaves us with, and this is a very proud moment for our little family here. One of our own, and one of our youngins. He is young, it's okay. But very, very intelligent young man. I'm always impressed with everything he does. Abel has put his name in the hat for, what is it, Abel? Tell us what you want to do.
Hi, everybody. My name is Abel Chavez, and I'm running for school board of the New View Union School District. I am running against 3 Republicans and 1 Democrat. So there's for 3 seats. So it's kind of even. So there's for 3 seats and there's 5 of us. And so it's 3 Republicans and 2 Democrats. And everybody knows each other pretty well. So when I went over to their school board meeting. I was the outsider, even though I've lived there for a really long time. I never actually went to the school board meeting there, and they were all like hawks. But it was interesting, and I talked to the president of the Teachers Association there, and I'm going to have a meeting with them tomorrow. I talked to the superintendent, and it seems like I have his endorsement. He wants to work with me, and so what I really want to do is, well, I'm a teacher, and what I really want to do is I want to help the teachers and that in that district, basically have a system in place where they can work more efficiently, so that they can actually work on their test scores, because test scores have been dropping in our district for years now, especially since COVID. And since this is happening, none of the school board members in the district are currently teachers or have ever been teachers. So I am a teacher, and I have a system that I really want to work with the superintendent with. Basically, it's like a Google Classroom system where all the teachers can work together instead of each individual teacher making their own lessons and working all day long to implement those lessons. Basically, I want to have a system in place where we create one Google Classroom per subject, and in that system, the teachers that work at that subject can all input their assignments, and during the PLCs, they essentially just explain what the assignments do. And then all the other teachers can just put them into the lessons. So instead of a teacher working for 10 lessons, they work for one lesson, and then they work as a team. And that way we save countless hours of time. And in this system, I also want to implement this thing where we have these tests that are all standardized together. And so all the teachers are teaching the same thing. We all agree on the same thing. And then the test is the same test. So that way you can actually put the test together. And then we can use the metrics to adjust depending on where we went wrong, and we can look back. So other teachers, I implemented it in my school when I was the PLC lead, and our test scores went through the roof. So I want to be able to use that in the district here, and I want to implement it district wide so that everyone's test scores can go through the roof. I got the RCDP endorsement last week, and I want to have your guys' endorsement as well.
I love it, Abel, because you're talking teacher alphabet soup. PLC is professional learning community, right? That's yes. What we all do, working together, the PLC. We all have our own alphabet soup. That was wonderful. I wish you'd have been one of my board members. That sounds wonderful. I do believe we have done through all the candidates and endorsements for tonight. Those are all the ones we have. We do have a list of other candidates that have been endorsed that will be available to everybody. But I thank you all my candidates and all the people that have shown up tonight. Thank you very much. And thank you for your patience.
So thank you, everyone. Thank you for coming. Thank you very much. The next part of the program, this is Latinx Heritage Month. And in honor of Latinx Heritage Month, Lisa, Andres, and Mel have prepared a presentation for everyone. So Lisa and Mel, I'm going to turn the program over to you.
So we'll launch off from here. Obviously the opening screen, not much to say. All right, so how we got to Hispanic Heritage Month. Yes, Republicans. Lyndon Johnson actually started it in 1968, a very good year, I might add, because it was the year I was born. But it was Hispanic Heritage Week. And he also, there was also a congressional public law requiring annual presidential proclamations on September 15th and 16th. We'll get to why those dates are significant later. About 20 years later, a couple of Democrats, one of the bills died in Congress, and then Paul Simon, not the musician, brought forth a bill which expanded the celebration for a full month. And yeah, Ronnie Reagan signed it into law in 1988. And then in 1989, brand spanking new, sparkly George H.W. Bush, who was actually a co-sponsor of the original Hispanic Heritage Week resolution 20 years earlier. He was the first president to declare September 15th and 16th as the start of National Hispanic Heritage Month. So it's kind of hard to believe, but yes, there they are. Reagan, Bush, wow. Okay, so why those dates? Well, the New Spain colony from the 1520s to 1821 was comprised of modern day Mexico, Central America, to all the way down to the Isthmus of Panama, the southwestern United States, Guam, and the Philippines. So on September 16th, I said parish priest, sorry. September 16th, 1810, parish priest Miguel Hidalgo y Costilla in the town of Dolores, Guanajuato, Mexico, I'm sorry, uttered a battle cry now infamously known as El Grito de Dolores. Yeah, or El Grito, which is the short for it. But it was seen as the start of the Mexican War of Independence from New Spain. And because of this, Mexico and almost all of the countries in Central America and Chile, oddly, have their independence days on the 15th and the 16th. So that was considered the prime time to start Hispanic Heritage Month. So here's the dilemma anymore. Hispanic, Latino, Latinx, what's the difference? So in the 70s, the Census Bureau believed that Latin American immigrants were white, or at least that's all they had the box for. So Latino activists said, look, we need something else for this because this doesn't quite fit. So the term Hispanic was born. It refers to people from Spain or Spanish-speaking origins. So it excludes Portuguese speakers, which means Portugal and Brazil. So now, in very modern sensibilities, the term Hispanic is kind of being rejected because of ties with Spain and colonialism, which we know wasn't very kind. So in a lot of areas now, the term Latino is being used as an alternative to Hispanic. And Latino refers to people from Latin American descent, whether they're living in the US or actually anywhere. And this includes Brazilians, but it excludes people actually from Spain because they're Europeans. So next, here's a cute little Venn diagram that I found that kind of puts all of that into visual perspective. So, Hispanic on the right includes Spain, but it doesn't include Brazil or, some of the islands. On the far left, Latino has Brazil, Guadeloupe, Haiti, does not include Spain. And in the middle, you kind of have some crossover. So while, some people will decide on their own what they feel they most identify as, and it can get contentious. In recent years, Latinx has gained popularity. It's a gender neutral or non-binary term for Latino or Latina, and it's a pushback against gendered language. It's more inclusive. How do I put this? It's sort of got its start with genderqueer and LGBTQ people that wanted a different ending on that. But it's kind of taken off as a non-gendered way of describing Latino people where you don't have to, where the dominant male doesn't take hold when discussing plurals. So bottom line, just, respect the wishes of people that what they want to be called. If you call them Latinx and they say they don't like that, they want to be Hispanic, call them Hispanic. If you call them Hispanic, they say they want to be Latino, Call them Latino, because right now identities are changing with the times, and people, older generations feel different than newer generations and vice versa. So just be respectful of people's wishes, just like pronouns. Are you going to ask a question?
I was, but I'll wait. I just,
oh no, I mean, if it's really pertinent now, maybe it's a good time.
well, in your Venn diagram, in the middle, the Burgundy group.
Mm-hmm.
So now anybody that's in that group can be called either a Latino or a Hispanic. Is that, or
they can be, I should say they are eligible for both groups, but I don't know if I would go so far as to say they can be called that, but they may identify as that.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay.
Yeah.
I didn't say that right. Okay.
Yeah.
I think that Venn diagram is awesome.
No, I think it's really helpful too, because it's kind of a fine line in a few instances. So, right. And it's always good to include the Brazilians, because I mean, obviously they're in Latin America.
Right.
And just to show this year alone, how much the Declaration of Hispanic American, Hispanic Heritage Month is changing. We had several electeds actually change the way they declared it. Anthony Rendon called it Latino Heritage Month. The Assembly Democrats called it Latino Heritage Month. Planned Parenthood and Sabrina Cervantes called it Latinx Heritage Month. So you can see sensibilities towards this are changing. And I wouldn't be surprised if sometime in the near future, the Hispanic Heritage Month might just wear off. I don't know. So who are we? Who are Latinos? It's very confusing. And if you've ever been a Latino trying to take the census, you know, like, what am I supposed to pick here? So ethnicity, are we Hispanic Latino or not Hispanic Latino? Usually on the census, that's the part that they ask us, because we have to pick a race as well. We pick our race and then we pick our ethnicity. But the problem is that we can be any one or more of these, of the 5 core races that you see typically on a questionnaire. And what I found was interesting, because that definition had changed lately, is that American Indian or Alaskan Native now says that it can be an indigenous person from basically from Alaska all the way down to South America. And it never used to say that again before. So now if you're a Latino and you're more indigenous, you can pick that. Whereas before you were stuck to maybe pick white because nothing else applied. Or, you know, if you're Afro-Latino, you know, you could maybe pick, now you could pick African and American Indian. So now it's opened up a little more, but no matter what, you had to pick a race, and then you had to pick whether you were Hispanic or Latino or not. And a lot of times, because for lack of something that fit, people picked white. So a lot of times the count of Latinos was over on the white side when it really shouldn't have been, because there was just a lack of options. So that's something to keep in mind when demographers bring up racial counts in areas where you know it's heavily Latino and yet it says white. So just keep that in mind. So I probably should have put this screen first in hindsight, but here we are. So yeah, Latinos can be any race or mixture of races. Mexicans, for example, were often referred to as mestizos, or mixed Spanish and indigenous. That used to be the classic Mexican. Now a lot of people see the word mestizo as a slur. But yeah, when now the census questions are different, the meanings are different. And now if you have to make a choice and you know that, you know, you're more indigenous, your skin is more brown, you can choose American Indian as your race, and then Latino or Hispanic as your ethnicity, and it more accurately reflects who you are. And then some questionnaires luckily are starting to allow you to pick more than one race, or just pick multiracial, which is fantastic. Because for me, for example, my mother is half Black, and then my father came from Mexico, but he wasn't 100% indigenous. He was maybe about half. So I'm able to kind of piece all those things together if I'm lucky enough to get a questionnaire like that. But unfortunately, most of them still make you just pick one. So you can pick, something that's closer to you. And now that more indigenous is allowed to be people, Native people from all over North and South America, now you've got something for you too. So I think that's a great change now that will more accurately reflect what population counts are, and maybe will help us in the future with elections even, because we struggle with that. So ethnicity in Latin America is kind of crazy when you think about it, because there's indigenous, there are white people, there's Afro-Latinos, and there are a variety of Latin American countries that have strong Chinese populations, Japanese, like in Peru. There are Middle Eastern folks that relatively related, like Salma Hayek or Shakira, I believe has got Lebanese descent. So you can find a whole lot of things in Latin America, and it's basically due to slavery, migration, and colonialism. So, but they all are still Latinos. So it's something to keep in mind when you have the stereotypical view of what a Latino looks like. You don't really know what all Latinos look like. So here we are, our place in the US. It hasn't always been pretty. Discrimination. I'm sure you guys remember the Show Me Your Papers thing in Arizona with Joe Arpaio. He was a doll. So according to a Pew Research poll, Latinos are the second most discriminated against ethnic group in the US after African Americans. In terms of poverty, Latinas earn roughly 54 cents for every dollar earned by a white non-Latino male. And then the stereotypes, which are also a joy. The majority of Latinos in the US are American born, and Latino immigration has declined over the last decade. Yet some Latinos whose family roots in the US date back centuries are asked where their family is from, especially if they have dark features. Indigenous people being forefront of that. But I was telling Freya that I didn't escape that either. I get that a lot. Where are you from? I mean, originally, I get that a lot. And then, of course, in high school, I went to a high school that had a lot of white kids, and they used to mock, we were talking about the slur beaner. I used to get that, and they would point at the landscaping crew and say, oh, is that your dad, Lisa? Is that your dad? So, mockery, and of course, the mockery at Cinco de Mayo when everybody puts on their sombreros and fake mustaches and pretends it's Mexican Independence Day when we know it's not. Those are all just forms of stereotypes that get put on Latinos, or that we're criminals, or, all the media images. So gradually we're moving away from that, but not fast enough. And then there's another couple things. I mean, I knew about the Zoot Suit riots, but those of you that were brought up in California, I didn't learn about Mendez versus Westminster until maybe I was in my 30s, I want to say. So it wasn't taught to me in school. I'm just going to put it this way. So before Brown versus Board of Education, Mendez versus Westminster was an anti-segregation court case in 1946. 80% of dirty Mexican children went to substandard Mexican schools where they didn't teach them anything about actual education. They taught them how to be house cleaners or field workers. And in those days, they had the same kinds of signs up that they had segregating against Blacks in the South. Like Mexicans had to go see movies up in the balcony, at the swimming pools, they would have Mexican Mondays, and they would thoroughly clean the pools after Monday to make sure it was safe before white people could come and use the pools. Things like, oh, and the water fountain thing that, you know, no Mexicans or dogs. So it was a bad time, and I did not know all that time that there was actually segregation in the LA area. So that that was a bad thing for people whose roots were actually in that area. And just by virtue of the borders moving, when the US took possession, now they're treated like foreigners basically in their own land. And then the Zoot Suit riots, Latino youth during World War II got kind of exaggerated suits and called themselves pachucos. And white military men were resentful of their attempts to mingle in their same spaces, that they viewed them as criminals and draft dodgers. So in June of 1943, about 50 sailors went into LA with clubs and started beating anyone with a zoot suit. And I mean, beating them. And the police just watched. And then afterwards, they started arresting the Latinos, not the guys doing the beating. And so over the course of the next week or so, they said about thousands more joined in the fray. And it became apparent as they started dragging pretty much anybody that was Latino into the fray that it wasn't really about the suit, it was about racism. And finally, they had to lock down the base and like allow nobody off base for a while until it calmed down. But it was abhorrent that the cops didn't help the people being beaten. They just hauled them off to jail. So it's kind of a sad history, but obviously we've made some strides, but you know, you can tell from even police brutality today that we need more strides to be made. But speaking of Pachucos, that brought along Chicanos, because Pachucos also called themselves Chicanos. And in the 70s, the Chicano movement began to be used to refer to people that resisted total assimilation into American or white culture. So, and the term La Raza became connected with Chicanos also in relation to identity politics. And it doesn't mean the race, that's a literal translation. It means the people, or even maybe the community. But our own Chicano that has made his museum our home, in our home here is Cheech Marin. And I mean, it's a museum for Chicano art, because something we don't have here in Riverside, but that they have a lot in LA, is the big mural culture. And I don't mean graffiti, I mean murals. And some of them are just beautiful. And so Chicano culture is an art form, and it's definitely an American art form. They don't paint like that in Mexico on buildings. So it's really cool that it's finally being recognized as an American art form. So we are going in the right direction. We're almost done. Home stretch. I'm losing my voice. This is really the part that I want to get to. And it's the myth of the Hispanic vote as a monolith, because everybody says, well, we have to get the Hispanic vote, or the Hispanic vote shifts this way or that way. But there's no such thing as just the Hispanic vote. It doesn't take one form, because everybody is different. People that are quote unquote Hispanic from Cuba vote differently from people from Mexico. They view themselves differently. They're more conservative. So when they talk about the Hispanic vote and then talk about Florida, that's nothing like California. So it's something that we always have to keep in mind. Everybody has different cultural norms and mores. So the one thing we hear a lot, why do they vote against their own interests? Well, they get racism on both sides of the aisle. We can't kid ourselves. So you're skeptics about promises, and some a lot actually vote for whoever they think might show them actual results in terms of economy, housing. And yeah, it probably is a problem that they may not understand what they're being told, or they believe the lies. But the problem is that's what they're looking for. They're looking for results. All the rest of it, even a lot of Catholics are starting to back off of the social issues of gay marriage and abortion because they are desperate for economic relief. So, and immigration. So that's something that we have to consider about the promises we make on that our candidates make to try to get the quote unquote Hispanic vote. And then that's the next point is you got to understand this. Are we immigrants or are we natural born citizens? First generation, multi-generation Americans? Are we religious? Are we educated? I mean, more and more Hispanics are graduating from college with 4-year degrees and higher, living in middle-class neighborhoods. Do we need health care? Or are we getting it through our jobs? What is our family origin? Are we living more like the quote unquote typical American, where the Hispanic vote, we're not really thinking like that anymore just because we have Spanish last names? A lot to consider. And then, how can you get my vote if you don't talk to me, especially in Spanish? Latino outreach doesn't really have a lot of imagination to get to the root of the problem. They talk at us instead of to us. And they have a hard time finding Spanish speakers to target immigrant voters. They should pay people. I don't know what else to tell them, but if they're going to get there, they need to find people that at least, if they don't speak Spanish, at least are other Latinos or Hispanics that can make a connection. That's the only way you're going to get there. So for this last part, I put down the information for Riverside Latino Network and Hispanas Organized for Political Equity, which is HOPE. But I want Mel to talk about LULAC because I think LULAC is one of the best organizations for working for Hispanic and Latino equality and political equity and social justice. So take it away, baby.
Okay, wait, sorry. Wait, where'd I go? Am I muted? Oh, good, I'm not muted yet. Okay, sorry. I proudly have become a part of the LULAC here, both to represent the other organizations I'm in and to actually learn from them. This is one of the most deeply held groups I've ever seen. These people, it is the League of United Latin American Citizens. It is very old. It's almost side by side with the original NAACP. It goes right alongside. They provide things you don't even know happen in Riverside. They just did a health fair and provided checkups, dental work, all sorts of things for the community for no cost. They also do a lot of legislative things that will affect the community. In fact, there was a guy on one of the shows from LULAC who is working with those 50 people that went to Martha's Vineyard. They're standing up for them. They show up like, they're kind of like the Latino ACLU as well. So they wear a lot of hats. At one of the meetings, I have to say, one of the most impressive things I ever heard was one of the gentlemen who started with LULAC as a student in LA during the civil rights era, who were doing a sit-in in the university. And they blocked the doors, and I can't remember what they were fighting for, but it was the brown berets, people that are associated with these groups, that got them food, water, blankets, while they were holding the fort down to get their rights through this. This is also alongside Cesar Chavez, and the Agricultural Workers Union, that is it's like they're hand in hand with all of these organizations. The Riverside Latino Network meets in the morning just before our meetings, and like I say, these are not alone. They're overlapping with almost everything we do, and I try to bring information to them and from them. And I will say it always impresses me of how quietly they go about their very, very important business. And I'm sorry, stereotypically don't receive all the merit for what they do. So like I say, I enjoy my LULAC meetings, and they are open to everyone. That's it. That's my pitch.
Okay. Well, I want to say thank you both for a very insightful presentation.
Oh, and I just wanted to say, Lisa put my name on there, but she did all the work. I'm not going to give that up.
Man, I was hustling this afternoon like nobody's business.
I mean, I think she can.
Well, I can tell.
That girl knows her stuff. I said, yes.
She really does.
Is there anybody that have any questions? I know that probably went way longer than I thought it was going to, but anybody have any questions?
I studied this for 4 years in college, so it's.
Can we put it up on our Facebook page, Lisa, and the website? Is that okay with you? Because
I think well, I'm going to put this video up on our YouTube channel, and I'm going to try to put the slide deck up somewhere. I'm not sure where that was going, so let me just stop there.
Well, I just think it was awesome and very informative, and I really appreciate it. And I hope everybody has got something from it. I think it was awesome. Thank you so much.